On this episode of Bryan the Guys, it's the X-Men 97 finale part 3. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bryan the Guys, the nostalgia podcast that has more listeners than your high school math teacher. I'm your host, Bryan Peters, and here with me is longtime friend and time traveler, Jerae Finch. And here we are, listeners. We have
Yeah.
finally made it to the finale. Finch, did you think that this show would be so freaking good?
I mean, I had concerns, obviously.
Yeah, right.
But
Exactly.
you know, but being a fan of the original X-Men 92 and I didn't think it was gonna be this good though. I'll just say that.
Right. Absolutely. Like, I think for you and I both, this exceeded all expectations.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but if I were to say like which show's better, X-Men 92 or Spider-Man the animated series from the 90s, I would have said Spider-Man all day.
I probably would agree with you there.
And maybe your reasons might be the same as mine, but like I felt X-Men 92 had the badass theme song, of course. And Spider-Man had one okay, but the X-Men
There,
92
that
is,
one goes pretty hard too. Yeah.
yeah, like it hits so hard.
That electric guitar.
Just so awesome. And if people don't know, the guy that did that theme song also did Go Go Power Rangers.
Wait, I was saying the electric guitar for Spider-Man, that
Oh, yeah, my
that
apologies.
riff, that
Well, I think
yeah.
I think Joe Perry from Aerosmith did that. I'm very certain he did
Ah.
because when they did Spider-Man the movie, Aerosmith did Spider-Man, does whatever Spider can. They did that song, and I think that was partly because they did the animated series one. I could be wrong on this. I do have lots of useless information in my head, but I'm pretty darn sure that it was done by Joe Perry. So if it wasn't, listeners, please tell me I was wrong. But I'm pretty sure. But I I felt that, and we're going to talk about Spider-Man animated series a little bit, for because well, you'll see. But I felt like Spider-Man had more consistent story, whereas and it made sense until you got to the Mary Jane stuff. But X-Men 92, and if you don't agree with me, tell me. But I felt X-Men 92 was just so convoluted, and it had so many stories that were just like there wasn't like one giant narrative. It was just like getting these comic stories all together, and then like things that just made your brain hurt very much.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man was more of a, like, I think the story arcs in the Spider-Man show just kept going, like, because they would do like 6-part episodes versus
Yeah,
X-Men that would do what, like, you might get a 3-parter and then it would like go off and do some random stuff, and then you'll get like another 3-parter, and then yeah. But Spider-Man, it was always like, I just always remember Sins of the Father, part 1, 2, 3,
yeah,
4, 5, 6. You're like, but then within those, you get in crossover stuff with Daredevil and Punisher and
Blade.
Morbius and yeah, Blade. Like, yeah. So, and that's, I think that I'm a crossover, like, I'm a crossover junkie, I guess. I love crossover stuff. Even when it's bad, I like crossovers, man. So,
Yeah, like because this is comics, and as we read comics, other characters show up. It just makes sense. So why wouldn't they show up in comic animation? You know,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and they sure do.
Yeah,
um,
and Spider-Man, he's got the Secret Wars, and yeah, and then all the, the multiverse stuff works. Yeah, Spider-Man. out of those, it's the better show. But we're here to talk
Yeah,
about X Men
we're,
'97,
we're
which you know
is better
it's
than
up.
both of those.
Yeah, it's good.
So good. So we are here, listeners. We are on the third part of the finale. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been building towards. We have finally made it. And also, I want you guys to know, I got to do a little cheap plug here, that if this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, I want you to know that we are available on other platforms. So if your friends and family don't necessarily use Apple Podcasts, maybe you do, or maybe you use Spotify, and maybe they like iHeartRadio. We are available on everything. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Pandora. We have a website that you can log into on your desktop and listen to. And, we're on YouTube now. So there is absolutely no way you can't check us out. We are on it all. So if you never checked us out before, we welcome you very much. We hope you have an awesome time with us because me and Finch, we're huge geeks. We also have Tyler and James sometimes from the Krypton Report, which is a Superman podcast, join us.
Cousin
Sometimes
Steve,
we got my cousin Steve, who's a big horror guy. Usually works with me on my flagship podcast, Gravely Amusing. We have a whole bunch of guys, and we're all a bunch of nerds. So if you're nerds too, geeks, I'm just so glad you're here. So, and Gravely Amusing will be coming back in August as we gear up towards Halloween and stuff. And we're going to talk about horror history, ghost stories, cryptids, horror novels, comic books, focusing on supernatural, villains, anything evil, or gravely amusing. So, and that's my flagship podcast. That's my main baby. So it's gonna be fun. So there are my plugs. Back to X Men. So Finch, do the thing.
previously on X Men.
Gosh, that sounds so good. Hire this guy as a voice actor, for gosh sakes, people. Come on, out in California, you know.
I wish.
So what has happened in these two parts there, Finch? Sum it up for us, bro.
Well, so going back to part one, Tolerance's Extinction. Is that
Yep.
what it's called?
Hmm?
Yeah. Tolerance's Extinction part one. Storm comes back into the fold. Rogue is. Wait, was this? She was mad, right? She was mad,
Well,
or
the
was that episode 9? Or
so basically
all right, you're making me go back 3 episodes.
2 episodes. Well, I guess three, kind of. Basically what anybody needs to know, helping my buddy out, is we find out that in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Night of the Living Dead, that
Harmony,
Army,
Harmony, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania,
Yeah,
just north of
Bash.
Pittsburgh, that there's Night of the Living Dead, and you know what? Just listen to our previous episodes, or you know,
Well, basically,
simple as
Bastion,
that.
he basically started, or Cable comes back. No, Bastion starts turning people into Sentinel Primes. Basically, he's converted the people to these Prime Sentinels, where they're like half. They're not entirely human anymore. They're gonna seek out mutants and destroy, and he's just converting a bunch of people. He has Magneto captured. The X Men are fighting. Rogue is injured from Gyrick. No, Trask. Trask. Professor Xavier comes back. Storm comes back. Gambit's still dead. Nightcrawler's part of the group. Cable comes from the future. He ends up working with his dad and yeah, so the X-Men get together, they start fighting, they split up into teams. Oh, Magneto
Yeah,
puts out a
Magneto causes the EMP, and he
shuts down the world, all the computers, everything. The government's trying to figure out, and Professor Charles is like, I'm gonna have to, stop Magneto and make him reverse all of this. And Bastion is trying to get the Sentinels back online and all that stuff. And the X Men split up into two teams, a blue and a gold. And blue team goes up
blue
to
team run
Asteroid
by
M,
Cyclops. Yep.
and gold team goes after Bastion and Sinister. Sinister fights Jean Grey. converts Cable, and that's kind of where we leave off. Like Bastion has everybody captured, or he's there. Everybody's X-Men are losing at this time. Oh, and then
Biggest thing.
uh, Magneto rips out Wolverine's adamantium.
Yes. That is the gist of it. Previously on X Men. That's pretty much the gist of it. So, so Magneto does the voiceover that's previously on X Men. Right now, this is full on spoilers. This is everything that happens. These are our thoughts on it, and these are our theories for the future, and some of our theories have already came true. So, yeah. So Magneto does the voiceover, and the music kicks in, and I kind of felt bittersweet, Finch. I kind of felt bittersweet here, Finch, because this is the last time that we're gonna hear this music, unless we play it on our own. But it's the last time we're gonna hear this for some time. Like,
Yeah, I
this is
mean,
it.
we do know that we've got a season 2 coming. It's already been greenlit, and they're working
Heck,
on it.
heck yeah.
Hopefully, it comes sooner than later. That's all I can say.
Hopefully in a year. I can wait a year or 9 months or whatever.
It's crazy when you think about how growing up, animated show would end, and then the summer happens, and then bam, in the fall, they're
Right.
dropping 22 episodes, and you're like you didn't miss a beat. It's
Exactly.
crazy.
And like Batman the animated series, perfect example. Like Batman the animated series had like season 1 had like 56 episodes. And like season 2 like 20. But
Yeah,
like
but I mean, yeah, they would drop these. I mean, going week to week and everything. And I don't know what this 9, 10 episode stuff is about, man. Like, what,
I
look at Invincible. And I mean, I get it. The animation's like awesome, but come on, man.
but
Yeah.
but like I mean, it's just my personal opinion. If it's just my opinion. If it hurts anybody, I'm sorry, But like I'm not so impressed with the animation for like Adventures of Superman, for example. And
Blasphemous.
hey, hey, it is what
Well,
it is.
it looks anime-ish.
Yeah, it's just it's just yeah. But like I especially getting off of tearing down Superman. I'm sorry, Krypton Report. But getting off of that, like I hate the current animation like on Cartoon Network. And
Oh, don't even get me started on that, bro.
I think
I
I think
hate
you and I have talked about this so many times before, but it's just trash compared to when we were kids. And I think like back in the 90s, 30 years ago, oh my gosh, we're old. Oh my gosh. But 30 years ago, animation was just simpler. At least it seemed simpler. Like, but it didn't look like trash. Like it
yeah.
looked great. So when you look at the Timverse and Batman the animated series and Superman the animated series, there was a bit more detail. There was, you know, things looked crisper. But then you look
Yeah.
at the animation now, like you look at the Timverse 30 years ago, you even look at the animation and the new 52 DC movies, like leading up to Dark Side War. And then you look at this Tomorrowverse and it's just like, oh, like
Yeah.
it just doesn't
With that
work.
black outline and stuff. Yeah.
So I don't understand why shows like Invincible and X-Men 97, like they're banging out only 9 episodes, like you're saying, like 10 episodes in years. And when we were kids, it's like you said, it's like 50 episodes.
I mean, is it that the writing has to go with it? Because I mean, Invincible, say what you want about season 2. I enjoyed season 2 in its entirety, even though they took that stupid break that probably killed its viewing numbers and stuff.
It
But
hurt.
the story that goes with the animation, and they do some really cool stuff in animation that you're like, wow, like I couldn't see the Justice League in 2000, you know, doing that kind of stuff. So,
That's true. That's a
and
good
then
point.
this X-Men 97, everybody talked about, when baby Nathan had the mask on and you could see like the fog coming off of it, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, this the attention to detail," and how just the
That's it.
movement
That's the
of
answer.
yeah, so
There's way more. There's way more detail.
yeah.
That's why. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I suck. Oh, you're right. You know,
No, no, you're right though. I mean, it's like, come on, it's just like we grew up in a certain time, and that's just why we're like crank out these episodes. You know what I mean? Get them going. But hey, I mean, I guess is if we get this kind of quality, I mean, don't give us 2 years, but House of the Dragon does the same thing. I mean, all the CGI and stuff, like they take their time and they give us great product. So as long as that's what happens, I'm
yep.
okay with it.
If you give me great stuff, I'm with it. I can wait. I can wait. But don't make us wait forever because then people are just like, oh,
Lose
I
it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like we live in a world now where the attention span is, I need it now, instant gratification. So, 30 years ago, you could probably get away with a little bit more. But
Yeah, I mean, what is it that and then I keep hearing all this stuff about the 2 screen or 3 screen rule where it's like, is it 3 screen worthy, Have you seen that?
no,
It's like people are like, is this show good enough to keep people's attention off of like another device? Like, because I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'll put something on the TV and then I'll be on my phone scrolling. And then every once in a while I'll look up. But if it's a show like X Men '97, you have to watch stuff so you can catch all the little Easter eggs, which we're gonna
absolutely.
get into, right?
Absolutely. So, opening credits, things I noticed. We see Apocalypse once again. Apocalypse with Cable once again, which has had me, I don't know about you, but had me sticking to my theory that we were going to see some freaking apocalypse. Like, no
Yep.
question. No question. We then see the scene also of Charles and Eric revealing their powers to each other.
Well, where
So,
they're both like standing there, right?
exactly, because in the original show in '92, this is where they showed their powers.
Yeah.
So, and they were like, I don't know, they were saving somebody, but this is like
Yeah,
where
they
the
were like in
reveal
the
was.
jungle or something.
I think it was like Vietnam. They were supposed to be. I think it was.
Yeah.
So we see the Phoenix in all its glory in this opening credits, looking awesome. And then Finch, like, we see the Hellfire Club, and we see Emma Frost, and a door being shut on Charles. And you know what this made me think of? This made me think of Wolverine and the X Men
Okay, yeah.
because in Wolverine, now I just finished Wolverine and the X Men. Never watched it before. Just finished it yesterday, actually.
It's a good show.
And
I like that one.
I rank it very high. Like I don't know if I rank it higher than Evolution.
I'm actually rewatching Evolution. I've been, in and out of episodes. So, yeah.
I'd love to know your thoughts because Wolverine and the X Men, like it has that team I really love. Like I love seeing Nightcrawler. Well, Nightcrawler's kind of not in it a lot, but I love seeing Iceman, Shadowcat. I really love that team, but I think Wolverine and the X Men has a lot of issues that the X Men movies do, where the focus
Well,
is on
focus
Wolverine.
Wolverine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like hence the
Although,
name of the
although,
show.
although I feel like they focus a lot on because there's a lot of episodes that's Professor X and Bishop in the future.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
yeah.
It did give a lot of room to breathe. Like it's not as bad as the movies, but it's good. Wolverine X Men's good. But in Wolverine X Men, the final 3 episodes, we see that Emma Frost is trying to open these barriers that Professor X has put in Jean's mind that look exactly like these doors that they're showing in these opening credits. So I think it was kind of like a callback to Wolverine and the X Men, but showing that the Phoenix powers might be unleashed.
Well, I think that's supposed to be from the original series when Jean was with the Hellfire Club and they were trying to like control the Phoenix. Remember?
Oh yeah, so Wolverine and X Men took from that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because the original show did the Phoenix perfectly because it did Dark Phoenix and it did the good Phoenix. Like it did it perfectly, and then everything tries to copy it since then. And
Right.
I would like the Phoenix to take a freaking break for a little bit.
Right.
Um, I mean, good God. Oh, another thing I want to add is I think that I need to go back. It will take me a long time, but the amount in every single X-Men live action, animated, whatever, the amount of times that Cyclops says Jean, for gosh freaking sakes, it's not just in X-Men 97, it's just not just in X-Men 92. Like pretty much all of Wolverine the X-Men, he's also like, Jean, 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 Jean. Emma, we gotta find Jean. We gotta find Jean. I
We
mean,
can't escape it. That's Scott. That's Scott's catchphrase. The Thing has its clobbering time. Scott has Gene.
Jean, Jean, Jean. It's just, it's too much. So, anywho, yeah, that show that show, Wolverine and the X-Men, talking a little bit more about that, it had that the walls of the Phoenix being open, but it that show also ended on a huge Age of Apocalypse tease that we never got to finish. We never got to explore because the show was canceled. So
Yeah, that was
um
sad.
yeah, very sad. Because it ended with like them going back to modern day after changing the future, and we see Sinister up there with Apocalypse, but we also see Cyclops up there with Apocalypse. So
Well, it
Age
got
of
canceled. It got canceled because of like the animation studio. So it's funny. We were just rambling on about like the animation and why can't they just churn out stuff? And yeah. So, but sorry, a
oh,
little off
oh, I
topic
thought
there,
it
but
I thought it got canceled because the
the rights to like the X-Men and Disney and all that, the buyout.
well, I knew it wasn't rights related, but I thought it got canceled more so because they were going to introduce, like, that's where we were kind of leaning into. That was 2009, so we were leading into X-Men First Class, and they were kind of like trying to do like a fresh start on X-Men and kind of lean towards Wolverine. That's what I thought, but
Well, there
I was
was
wrong.
there was there was issues with the animation studio and then Disney and all that stuff. So
Makes perfect sense. But what are you gonna do? So Age of Apocalypse, something that we never got. So maybe we'll get it. Who knows? We also see Asher M again, and then it's a blink and you miss it. But I noticed in the credits, Finch, that the humans running were Prime Sentinels now.
yeah, that happened. I want to say either last week or the week at the start of. I want to say it was last week because I remember somebody pointed it out, and then I watched it. I rewinded it this time, and I like froze it because I always, yeah, and I was like, okay, yeah, they're still like
Yeah,
that.
there's
So
so many like blink and you miss it things in this show, man.
yeah, it's fun trying to find the Easter eggs.
It really is. And speaking of Easter eggs, right off the get go, so the episode opens with Eric and Charles in the ruins of a town and at a bar when they first met, and you hear these tunes, like the opening tunes of a song, and I was like, I know I've heard that tune before, and it's like, well, I mean, did you hear it? I'm gonna try to see if I can play.
I think it was
I
some
can
kind
play
of
like a little bit.
something about a bird, or it's like a title's called something with a bird, or it's a '60s song, right? Because
It is.
it takes place where we're at. It's like back in time in the '60s when they're at a bar
Yes.
during.
Unless I can. Well, I'm gonna play just a few little bit because I don't want to get sued. But but here we go. So I was like, I know that tune. I know it. I knew I knew it. So I had to like play it again. you know, and that is "Turn, Turn, Turn" by the Birds.
I knew it had some. I knew it was either like a bird or by the birds, or yeah, I knew it's something with the birds.
And the lyrics to that song, if I can get it here without music playing.
Oh yeah, that song is from the Bible. Like they used
Exactly.
Ephesians. No,
It is
Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses through 8. And so to start the episode with it, with this song and this scripture is interesting. So what it says, and I'll just read the song here, is to everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant and a time to reap, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep, a time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance and drink wine and make love, a time
I don't think it says that.
a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. So there's a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. I thought that was interesting. So there's a time where you have to change your thoughts. That sometimes good happens, sometimes bad happens. And that's kind of like the theme that we're getting here. So there's my useless brain of pop culture. Back to the bar, Finch. So what happens?
Well, Magneto and Eric and Xavier are sitting at the bar. There's a bunch of soldiers and stuff around them, and they're talking. And basically, they're talking about what it's like to mutants and helping other people who are not like other people. And basically, Charles says something along the lines of like, "Well, what if I was a mutant?" And then Xavier or Magneto says, then you would have to hide or something like that, right? And then Charles uses his abilities and basically gets into Magneto's mind and says, "Well, I am. I've been one for a long time, or whatever." And then Magneto says, or he goes, "Oh, I can, I can read people's minds. I can do stuff with the minds, and then, or I can bend people's minds to my will."
Yeah, I could bend
And
minds.
then,
Yeah.
Magneto says, "I can move metal to my will, or whatever." So and they basically come out to each other. you know, they come out.
Yeah, yeah, it was there was some vibes like that in this episode, but but then I have Eric says also if mutants exist, like in response to Charles, he says if mutants exist, or I'm so sorry. Charles says if mutants exist, why wouldn't they use their abilities to make the world better for all people? And Eric says people don't want to be better. They are already the best everything.
Yeah,
Best tribe, best faith. They even fight over who's the best victim.
yeah. When I heard that part, I was just like, "Ha!" Like it was just like I'm just watching it. I was just out loud. I was like, "Ha!" Which is because it's just so true. Like
That was my reaction
the
as well.
writers of this show, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
D Mayo, dude, put a shirt on and go march up to Kevin, go to Kevin Feige and get your dang job back, bro.
Talk to him and Iger, but put a shirt on first, please.
Yeah, please, for the love of God, put a shirt on. Oh, good
You're
God.
making us all look bad, bro.
I mean, maybe he got fired so like he can play like live action somebody because that dude is fit. That dude he ripped.
Yeah, yeah. All those gym selfies.
I guess I have a man crush. It is what it is. Um,
Hey, I, the guy's a great writer. I'll say that. So
that's really where my respect lies. The man can write. Like he's just like he's great. Eric says minds are harder to bend than metal, and Rogue then calls out to Eric, and we see that Xavier is in Eric's mind. And Finch, what goes from there, man?
well, basically, yeah, we we get a realization that they're not in the it's not a flashback. They're inside of Magneto's mind. Around them, like the outside kind of starts to change, like because you through the bar windows and stuff, you can see it turns to like water,
Yeah,
and I heard something about like water is like the motion is something that your emotions are like linked. I don't know, something about like the dreams and
it's
stuff like
like
that.
I think what Xavier was trying to say is like, we like everybody has their own ocean. Like they all have their own things that they're drowning in, their own things that they're dealing with. Kind of, yeah.
Okay, and then so Charles gets Eric to turn the power back on, or he's trying to. So then, like, we cut out of Magneto's mind, and we see like Charles like crawling up to Magneto, and he like grabs onto him, and he's just starts blasting him like with his mind, and they're both like it looks pretty epic, and then all of a sudden
It's pretty
basically
dope.
Charles takes Magneto's mind and basically has him turn back the like the power, like reverse the EMP basically. And then this is where basically we get a bunch of the cameos that we've
This
been
is your
getting.
favorite part, probably.
Yeah, I love cameos and
Cameo
crossovers.
season. What all did we get,
So
Finch?
okay, so obviously first one, and I'm like, they keep showing, bro. So I'm assuming, you know what? Okay, well that's something we'll touch on later. So we get Silver Samurai. He's
Yes.
just standing there staring off into the distance as usual because we
Makes
saw
me
him.
wonder if he will be a factor in the future
Yeah,
because
I
they've
mean,
showed him twice now.
and it makes me think of the Wolverine because we now Wolverine don't have his adamantium. We got Silver Samurai. I don't know, something like that. Then we cut to the White House and we see Captain America, which we've seen in an episode, a couple episodes back. But we also get Iron Man in his '90s cartoon
Oh,
Iron
dude,
costume.
he looked crisp.
Yeah,
He looks so fresh and so clean.
and they're in the White House talking to President Kelly. Then we get a scene in New York, and we get
Yeah, we do.
the devil of Hell's Kitchen,
Hell
Daredevil.
yeah. Woo!
Then we cut to a hospital, and we got Doctor Strange in there doing surgery by candlelight, but he's using his magic.
That was
And
so
I was
cool.
like,
I like
yeah.
that. That was really good.
And then all of a sudden, some of the sentinels and stuff start to turn back on. And then we see Jean, she's underwater, reminiscent of X2 being under the water.
Yep. And in
Um,
the comics, the Phoenix protect her underwater in a cocoon. And then that's where Madeline came in eventually. But Jean, like that was the answer for where Jean was. That Jean didn't really die; she was in a cocoon from the Phoenix. But
hey,
yes,
we
that's
called that one. We
we
called that
called it.
one.
We called it.
So,
I think maybe even
uh,
you called it more. I think you said it
yeah,
first.
remember I was saying like she had that pose when she was talking to Scott.
You sure did,
Um,
buddy.
but then we get Bastion. He starts kind of rambling on a little bit. He's got everybody captured and all that. Bastion says he's the future tide, and then he has like I remember him like Beast starts talking. Oh yeah, Beast tells him that like you're what does he say? He says, "Oh, they're doing it against their will. Like you're basically,
You're
you're
making
doing this
slaves,
to."
man.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And then he like shoots Beast in the head, basically, like gives him like a scar on his head. And
Yeah.
then Storm starts like trying to talk to Bastion and talking about, and he's like, "Oh, I wish I was never born, or I didn't want to ask to be born this way." And she's like, "But we are all born. Nobody asks to be born.
And then Lady Gaga kicks in and like, you know,
Born this
but,
way."
but baby, I was born this way. And she kicks in. Yep.
And
That's what
then
happened.
And
It's in
then
there.
Bastion grabs her by the throat and starts choking her. And he's like, "Did you just try to appeal to my humanity?" It just like Bastion, they did a good job with him too, man.
Fashion, yeah,
Um,
he
and
really
Forge
did.
is like, "Get your dirty paws off of her." Sorry, it was
Get your
just
hands off her, you damn dirty machine.
right on the with the apes out right now. Get
Absolutely.
your damn hands off me. What else we got? We got so the Sentinels are
We
back
get another
online.
cameo central.
Yeah. So
Sentinels attack the White House now that everybody's got power.
oh yeah, yeah. So the Sentinels start attacking. We get a Black Panther cameo, and
Yeah, hell
we
yeah.
we find out that it's not T'Challa, it's T'Chaka.
Oh, I missed
Um,
that. I missed
yeah,
that.
because he's pleading with President Kelly, and then Captain America goes, "King T'Chaka is right, sir," and so that's how we know it's him. Plus, he's got the cape. He's rocking the cape.
Well, T'Challa has the cape when he originally was introduced.
Well, I guess what in like the '60s or something like, but
Yeah,
we're used to Black Panther with no cape.
I know. But yes.
So then we see Daredevil again, and he gets knocked in through a window of is it a bar? Like he gets knocked through Josie's pub, I think. Is that what
No,
it's
it was
called? Or was it a
actually
store?
it was just like a quick stop, like a
Okay.
convenience store.
But then
Yeah.
out of nowhere, we get Cloak and Dagger. I was like,
I
yeah.
I
Oh
did not see that coming.
yeah. And then
Cloak and Dagger, very underrated.
yeah, they had a show on Freeform, dude. If
They
you
do?
it was like loosely based, like connected to the MCU. So I actually enjoyed it. I mean, there was some stuff that was, I don't know, but the, here's a little weird knowledge for me. Yeah. The bad guy, or like she plays a cop, the actress that played that cop in that show was actually the Yellow Ranger from Dino Thunder. So
That's my boy.
yeah,
That's my
sorry.
boy.
You know me, my Power Ranger stuff. So
Hell yeah, man.
uh so and then we get some more cameos because
Oh,
the
but
Sentinels
before
are just
you jump in
attacking.
before you jump into that, so if your listeners don't know who Cloak and Dagger is, just really quick, they're basically teenagers that got caught up in experiments, government experiments. Cloak is Cloak is a guy that has a
African
cloak,
American kid.
African American kid, that he has a cloak that can basically open up portals to a dark dimension. But when he uses his powers, he he basically like gets drained completely, like something to feed off of. And what he feeds off of is light. And Dagger basically uses light powers and shoots out light daggers. And they need each other and they're bonded pretty much almost permanently
Yin and Yang.
because they need each other. They're yin and yang. He needs her light. And she needs him because, he's handsome and he dresses well. So that's Cloak and Dagger. Just
Yeah.
in a nutshell. My man,
No.
what else do we see?
So then we get Alpha Flight. No, no. I think first we get
No,
some.
that was Apple Flight.
No. First we get.
Because Puck was there.
Yeah, but first we get.
My
I want to
apologies.
say Crimson Dynamo, and then Omega Red, and then there's some girl. I believe she. I can't remember her name. I want to say Dawn Star, maybe. Um,
I do not know for sure who that was.
but
I don't.
I did hear later that she is somebody who has access to the dark dimension, also like Cloak.
Oh,
So I
okay.
feel like that could be like the fact that we see her and the fact that we saw Cloak. Maybe next season, we're getting something where their powers are gonna, you know, you know.
That would be dope. That
So
would be
then
dope.
next we go to Genosha, and we see Psylocke and Alpha Flight characters like Puck, North Star. I think it's North Star.
Yeah, North Star.
Aurora. Was it Aurora? Maybe Psylocke,
I think so.
and there was a black chick that I couldn't remember her name.
Mystery Black Chick number one.
Okay. uh, and then we cut back to Bastion just monologuing. So no, he basically Sinister, like,
This monologue was dope though.
well, like he goes off and then he's
On
like
cable.
he's about to kill Cable,
Yep.
and Sinister's like, "Oh, like you said I could have the boy or whatever." And then he's like, "How many times did you come back to save Genosha or whatever?" And then Cable admits 200 times trying to save his mommy.
Man.
And then Bastion, what does he say?
Um Oh, your mom
Or
said.
no, no, I think
I know what he does. I didn't
Cable
remember what he said.
Cable says Cable says something about it. Bastion's mom, right?
Does your mother sew? Your mom goes to college. I,
This is like
I,
he's like, "How's your mommy, Bastion?" And then Bastion's saying that, and then
well, it almost seemed like he says like you're always trying to stop the future, and so mental note: Sinister doesn't want harm to happen to Cable for his own purposes that are very very important. He doesn't want anything to happen to Cable. So I don't remember what Bastion says about it, but I just remember what he does, and he pulls off. He
no, that
pulls.
doesn't happen yet, right?
Oh,
Because then I think we
yeah, you're
get
right.
the
You're right. Phoenix shows up.
basically he said something, and then
Yeah,
Cable's
you're
like,
right.
"Oh, something about my mom," and then out of nowhere, boom, the water rises, and we get the Phoenix. Ba-ba-ba-bong.
Yes.
Um, and she basically grabs Bastion and oh, because Bastion has the collar and he's like rambling about like, oh,
Yeah.
you guys think you could do something with this, and he crushes the collar, like he steps on it, breaks it, and then the Phoenix comes out and she like fixes the collar, the device, and puts it on his head
Puts
to
it all back together.
separate him from the Sentinels because he can't use his technokinesis. Is that what it's called? Or
Techno. Yeah. Techno. Tech. Chimichanga. Techno.
well, basically, his ability to create machines or
Yeah. Tech.
to talk to machines and control machines. Um,
Yeah. His Steve Jobs.
so basically, she basically grabs him as he's like trying to like fly away or whatever, and she grabs him and like throws him down or whatever, and then
She
Sinister's like,
threw him on the ground.
she threw it on the ground.
I don't want
My
to be
dad
telling
is
you to
not a
sit
phone.
on.
My dad's not a phone. Um,
Man.
So then he basically Sinister starts talking crap. Like, oh, you think because you're a peacock or something? He says something along those lines of that.
I'm a
And
peacock. You
basically,
gotta let me fly.
right? I love that movie.
Ah, absolutely.
Uh,
Sinister. Yeah, he says a lot of crap. Yeah. Oh, Phoenix
so
also shuts down all the Prime Sentinels. She shuts them all down
yeah,
because
yeah,
she's a
yeah,
Phoenix.
yeah. Because she's super powerful, and she's not a mutant. She's a cosmic entity.
That's
So
right.
Bastion trying to do stuff to her really ain't gonna do nothing. So basically, Sinister starts talking mad trash, and she's like, he's like, oh, you don't know who's Jean and who's Madeline or whatnot, yada yada. And then Phoenix is like, I don't care about none of that. And then she's like, I'm gonna take out all your DNA of all the mutants you stole from. And basically, she starts sucking out his DNA. She starts sucking it up real good.
My jaw dropped, and she was. I mean, she was sucking him good. Like she got all that. I mean, she got all that DNA
He
out
sucked him so skinny. She-
dry.
he was he looked like
He
an
started
old
pruning.
man. He's all
He
shriveled
started
up.
pruning up. Whew.
And then he goes, show me what I look like. And then Morph with the little dinger is like, he changes into what he looks like. He's like, still looks the same to me. And then Bastion runs off, or no, not Bastion. Sinister runs off. So, uh, and then out of nowhere, the Phoenix disappears. We're back to Jean. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Faint.
Scott.
And she's like, oh, she goes, oh, the Phoenix is gone. So we get like 2 seconds of the Phoenix, and then she's gone. So now is your part where
It was
you
worth it.
get where
Then,
Bastion. Yeah.
then, So the Phoenix left too early. Bastion wasn't done. Bastion rips off Cable's robotic arm, dude, and he freaking bitch slaps him. It was awesome.
What
And,
did a
and
5 fingers say to the face?
Charlie Murphy. And then at the end of the episode, I'm sorry, Charlie Murphy. I disrespected you. I did.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine, hell of a drug. But he takes Cable's arm after he bitch slaps him, and he uses it. He uses the Future Stone to evolve into his final Pokemon form.
Digimon.
There it is, Digimon,
Digimon.
digital
Digital
monster.
monsters.
Uh,
Digimon have more power.
oh my gosh. We're so old. Okay. But he looks like a mixture of I mean, he looks like a little bit like
Archangel.
Archangel with
Yeah.
these like he gets these metal wings and stuff. He's looking pretty cool. He's in final Pokemon form. Um, then
This
he
isn't even
decides
my final form. Mm.
there you go. Throwing a free zone there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the reference.
You're welcome, buddy.
I understood that reference. Captain America,
That's us like every day.
right?
Understood that reference.
Or
So
or the Leonardo DiCaprio. The me.
oh,
Yeah. Sorry. My brain is just memes, bro. It's just memes all
and movie
day.
quotes all day.
Right.
Go jacket, green jacket. Who gives a shit? All right. They decides to go after Asteroid M, and he decides to throw it on the ground. Man,
I don't need no asteroid. I throw it on the
on the
ground.
ground. So many asteroids to throw on the ground.
So yeah, so he looks up and he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna end this." So basically, he decides to do an Ultron from Age of Ultron,
Yes,
MCU movie, where he flies up to the asteroid.
absolutely.
Basically, Team Gold is like, "Hey, Blue Team, you got Bastion incoming. We can't stop him. We're working on it." But he ripped off Cable's arm, and then Scott's like, "He hurt my family. Family. He
And then
hurt
Dominic Toretto comes in.
Loretta."
Toretto, whatever.
Um,
Tostitos.
so basically, we see them. They're like, "All right, let's get everybody to the jet." As Gene is messaging, psychic messaging Scott, Professor X jumps in and goes, "Hey, I need y'all to keep Magneto safe. Don't let nothing happen to him, because if he dies, I die, because we're both inside of his mind."
Exactly.
Basically,
Very important.
basically,
Oh, we
yeah,
do see Wolverine on the medical table.
yes,
Wolverine is alive, it seems like.
he's all
And
beat up, but he's
he's all
alive.
beat up. But I like that moment where Cyclops says that to Wolverine. Do you remember what he said, Finch?
Yeah, he goes, "Be the best at what you can do. Heal for her, or don't break her heart." Yeah,
Like, don't break her heart. Be the best at what you do. Heal.
yeah.
Man, like, I mean, even though I made sure that you were on Team Blue so that Magneto would kill you because you kissed my wife, but well, you kissed the clone of my wife, but
No, he kissed his wife, or she kissed his wife. Kissed. Well,
no,
that goes back to who's married to it.
who's
Yeah,
married?
that
Yeah, right.
that goes back to that question. Which, man, they. We need to know when she was switched.
We need it, but then speaking of our girls, Rogue shows up and
Oh
she
yeah,
f's the
Bastion
crap
is
out of
making his way up. He's making his way up to the asteroid to go after like some gravitational orb or engine or something.
yeah, whatever.
And he's literally about to touch this thing and like destroy it. And out of nowhere, he gets mollywopped in the face by Rogue. And what does she say? She says, "His name was Gambit. Remember it." Boom!
Yeah,
She knocks dude through like she just starts going. She starts whooping on him, bro.
I loved it, and I have no idea how she could breathe in space.
Well, she has
And
Captain Marvel powers, right? So Captain Marvel can breathe in space.
Okay, I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
I'll allow
Judge. Thank you,
it.
thank
You're
you, Your
welcome.
Honor.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sustained, sustained. Um, but did you notice something on the moon where they crashed?
Yeah, it looked like a city or a temple or something, and I was like, "Is that Apocalypse's temple?"
That
But
was without a doubt Apocalypse's face in a temple. It
okay,
sure
okay.
as hell was. Because what else would it be? Like
Well,
that?
maybe the Inhumans. I know we haven't really gotten like Inhumans and stuff, but maybe is don't the Inhumans have a base on the moon?
I think you're possibly right. I still say that that face was more Apocalypse than
No,
anything.
I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah. So
Fair, fair enough. Sunspot starts whooping ass. How can Sunspot breathe in space? He
he's
becomes the
basically the
sun.
sun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I will allow it. Um, then T'Chaka says, "History may forgive you, but let's hope people don't read the Bible." Something like that, right?
Yeah, I guess something along those lines. He said something, and that's where we find out it's T'Chaka because Steve says,
You're right. You're right.
yeah. So
Then we see Kelly with a book open that said that's the or a file open that's the Magneto protocols. Did you notice some little Easter eggs on that paper? It was very quick.
I just noticed the little post-it that just said codes. I was like, so
Yes,
yeah.
yes, but so it lists Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver as his children.
Okay.
Um, but under the tab, and I hope that all these other comic book sites and podcasts didn't catch this. I hope I was the only one, but I highly doubt it because new Rockstar guy, like that's all he can do, during the day. Like God bless him. But
Well,
under
it's his job.
aliases,
It's his job,
this is a lucky bastard.
right?
Under aliases, it lists and it's blacked out a little bit, so you only see like really quick because most of the names blacked out. But under aliases, it does have Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender
Oh, okay, okay. As his
and
alias? That's
as
cool, that's
aliases.
cool.
I thought that was really cool. That was a
Easter
really
egg?
nice touch. I really
Yeah,
like that. And yeah, so then we go back to the Tide and their memories,
in
and we
Magneto's
see
mind. Yeah.
yeah, and then we see on a boat
Oh, yeah,
a
because Charles
bunch
is
of
telling him,
people.
like,
Oh,
Magneto's
go ahead.
saying, like,
Go
"Oh, I
to
don't."
Finch.
Well, Magneto's saying, like, "Oh, I don't remember my parents, I can't see their faces." Something about love and, like, everybody he loves, and then we get a shot of, it's water all around him, like, they're in, like, this tavern, but there's water, like, and it's, like, starting to, like, raise up and almost, like, about to, like, break the glass and come through into the bar where they're at, which is basically his mind, and it's like, if that water comes in, it's gonna destroy them or whatever. But basically, he says, "I can't see their faces, yada yada." And then we see on a boat, we see Rogue, and we can see her face. But then there's three characters around her that we can't see. They're like shadowed. But I mean, you can make out if you know who they are, you make them out. So in one corner we have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and then we have next to Rogue Polaris. So
Yes,
I thought that
sir.
was cool. But the fact that they were like shadowed or like shaded out to where you really couldn't make out their faces, I thought was kind of cool.
I I wonder why they did that, and I think maybe in his mind he's trying to forget about them. He's trying to forget like he's trying to forget their face because of the pain he's caused them. Maybe.
Well, didn't wasn't he
Possibly.
not even remembering who he was?
Yeah, you're
Like
right.
at
That's a
at
good
this
point.
point, it was weird.
Yeah,
Like
good point.
like he's like talking
I
to
remember
Charles and Charles.
Rogue because he
Yeah.
got some. So you know,
Hey, I don't want
hey,
to. I don't want to
if
get it.
you if
She
you
he's probably the only one that has. So that
yeah,
stuff's tight, bro. That's tight.
if you were the
Um,
only mutant that got to get some from Rogue, you would remember. Remember me.
remember it. You would
Remember me.
remember it. Um, so yeah,
We were
Eric
all
starts
night in the
talking.
Deja room. Remember it.
Remember it. So yeah, Eric starts talking about how he can't see his parents' faces, and Charles is like, "You're a kid. You couldn't how could you possibly remember that or whatever? And we know that his parents were taken away from him during the Holocaust, and
Yeah.
so it's like all this stuff is like, he's just trying to remember stuff and get back into his mind because his mind is shattered. And this is all Charles's fault to begin with. But
Yep.
so
So we see that we see Eric is dealing with abandonment issues. He's saying like, Rogue left me, all these people
yeah, he says like
left
my
me,
parents left me, Rogue
Paris left
left
me.
me.
And as
Obviously his
someone that
wife
deals with
died.
exactly, and as someone that deals with abandonment issues, very bad, I can relate to this guy. So, but Charles, says to him, we never abandoned each other, Eric. And the only ones who can break our
Well,
hearts,
actually, yeah, I think Charles even says you left. He says that to
man.
Charles.
Yeah, yeah,
Magneto says it because he did. He took off to be with his bird woman, bird
good
person.
point. And
He went to be with bird person.
his bird lady, big bird, and Charles says only ones who can break our hearts are those that are kept in it. And we're brothers, Eric.
We're
And
brothers. We're happy and we're singing and we're colored. Wayne's Bros. Come on, man.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that one. And he says, I'll always have you, Eric. Even if we're pulled under, we will always resurface. We'll always be brothers. We'll always have each other, man. And
As they embrace with a warm hug.
yeah, it was getting a little romantic there. I mean, their faces were pretty close to each other. Um,
Well, I
next season,
mean, they're about to die in water, like coming in, crashing in. So
hey, no judgment, no judgment. We then go to Nightcrawler, who gets a moment to shine, teleporting all over the crap, uh,
yeah.
jacking up Sentinels and Bastions and stuff. And
No, I think I think he was basically just fighting Bastion because now Bastion's fighting against the blue team on the asteroid,
yep,
and
so
Nightcrawler's just, he's just, and then Bastion grabs him.
Nightcrawler, the freaking man. Cyclops says, "You will never hurt my family again."
You'll
And
never hurt my family again.
oh, it's awesome. And
And does that video game blast, right?
yeah, right. You're right. The video game blast. You're totally right. Then we get a surprising clip from an X-Men member that I didn't really expect. We get a nice moment for this character. Do you remember it and who it was?
Is when Jubilee like slices off his wings or something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So with the Fourth of July, she hits it with the Fourth of July.
yeah. He
Clip of
goes,
the wings.
he goes. What are you gonna do? Beat me with the 4th of July?
Can't
Yeah,
tell you how many times I've heard that. And
right.
she does it. And then Beast comes in with the Sentinel, and
Oh
like
yeah, and he's like, oh, I got reinforcements, and a giant Sentinel comes crashing through, and then just steps on Bastion, and then we find out it's blue team or gold team. So you know, Beast and not Forge, Beast, Storm,
I think
Jean.
they're all in there now.
No, because Forge was on Earth,
Yeah, Forge.
and
Yeah, my bad.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
Forge is
he
just up
stayed
there.
he stayed with Cable.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So there's a hole in the ship. I don't know how they're breathing the space. Morph turns into Sauron. I think it was his name, the pterodactyl man.
yeah, yeah.
And T1 Bastion, he ain't done.
Yeah, he looks cool right there.
He looks
Like
so
his
cool.
face is like halfway off. He's got the red eye. Yeah, dude, he looks like a
He
Terminator.
looked a bit like cyborg Superman type Terminator
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
He, he,
yeah.
he looked pretty dope. Nightcrawler makes a comment and says that he is truly future incarnate. And Cyclops looks at the team as they get ready to strike. And then he totally bitches out and he says, "Stand down."
Yeah.
What? you know? And then he says,
It's
"We got to stop."
WWXD. What would Xavier do?
What would Xavier do? Yeah, exactly. Xavier, what would Xavier do? Well, we know Magneto was right, but yeah, and he says we got to stop fighting the future. And
And then Mama Storm agrees.
yes, I thought that that was stupid. Because this guy is trying to enslave mutants and empower
Yeah, well, I
humanity.
mean, we agree with Rogue because she's like, this guy just destroyed all of Genosha, and you want to recruit him or something? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think
Like
he even says it. He's like, I just tried to kill all of you, and you want to
16
recruit
point
me?
in like 4,000 seconds and you want to recruit
Yeah.
me? Like, yeah, it's stupid. Like, he tells Cyclops tells Bastion that his mom messed up. He should have been one of the original X-Men. Bastion says humanity's going extinct. And Jean says, no, humanity is dancing, drinking wine, making babies, and
Yeah,
more
she
and
does.
more.
She doesn't say all of that, but she does say the making baby part.
She sure does. They're making babies. They're more like mutants and stuff. And he says humanity would rather die than have mutant babies. And then
Or
missiles.
well, actually, at that point, he finally says humanity would rather die instead of having babies like us, where he admits to being a mutant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good catch, Finch. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. That was a good moment.
yeah.
Um, Missiles attack the base because of Magneto protocols. Jean protects them, and it makes sense that they're protected and can breathe in space because Jean's protecting them. You know,
I love how you're
Cyclops.
hung up on this breathing in space thing.
It's important, buddy.
They're
It drives
mutants.
me.
They're
It drives me
mutants.
nuts.
It doesn't matter.
It drives me nuts. It's like in Superman the animated series when some episodes Superman can just fly in space, and then eventually they give him the suit to wear in
Yeah.
space.
Well, the suit was really just for toy lines, but
It's true.
but
Absolutely.
no, yeah, you're right. Like in Justice League Unlimited or Justice League, when Amazo's coming, like he's standing up there in space with no suit on, and then another time he's out there fixing up the watchtower with the suit on, and it's like, bro, but
If we're gonna make rules, we need to stick to them.
yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Consistency, bitches. Put a shirt on and get some consistency. All right. And Cyclops still tries to save Bastion, but he appears to explode. And the asteroid is going down to Earth. Morph briefly turns into Mr.
Reed,
Fantastic.
Reed Richards, yes.
Reed Richards, Betty, looking great.
Can always
Sunspot
count on more for the good cameos.
Morph, Morph. I mean, Morph could solve everything, but that's whatever. It's just turn into Magneto, fix it, the end. But then you don't have a show. so,
Right, right.
so Sunspot saves Jubilee. Everybody's breathing into space again. Cyclops says he's willing to sacrifice himself. He's willing to just use his optic blasts and basically destroy the whole asteroid so that everybody can survive. And Rogue says, no way. Remy died so that we could live. And
Mm-hmm.
gosh, Gambit, I miss you. And B says if we work in unison as a family, as a team, we can pull this off and we can stop this from crashing. And then a very emotional moment
The
happens.
tear
And
jerker part, yeah.
yeah, break it down for us, man.
So so we see Cable. He's got one arm. He's sitting in the diner in DeMayo Diner, and
No,
basically
no shoes, no shirts, no service.
no
You can have
arms,
no
no
arm. No
service.
arms. Yeah, there you go.
Basically, we get a Star Wars moment where we get some holograms showing up. It's Gene and Scott, and
He lost
basically,
his arm, so that fits in.
yeah,
Yeah.
Anakin and Luke, everybody loses their arms or their hands. So basically, they come and Gene Scott's like, or Cable's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And Cyclops says, "My mistake was not saying goodbye, like my father or whatever." And Nathan
Oh,
says, And then Cable says he should have fought with them. And he says they tell stories in the future about the X-Men, and I should have been one of them. Like, I should have been one of them. And then Cyclops says, the day you were born, your mother said, you have my eyes. And then Jean does her telepath thing and takes his visor off, allows his eyes to show. And I feel like that's the first time I've like, I know in X3 they did that with his eyes, but
Yeah.
they kind of like didn't have the weight that this had, you know? And
Oh, this had so much weight. Like
yeah, I'm not
this was
crying.
powerful.
You're crying.
Yeah, I'm
So
cool. I'm cool,
it's,
bro. I'm cool.
it's a little dusty in here. Oh, jeez. So he shows his eyes to Nathan, and Nathan just like, or I keep calling him Nathan, but it's Cable, but it's Nathan.
No, call him Nathan,
At
man.
this at
Same
this
guy.
moment, yes, he's Nathan. And basically he tells him goodbye and that he loves him, and yeah, man, that and then they I think he calls them both his parents, including Jean. Like
He does.
so
Yeah.
so, we're at that point, and then they go and we see Scott running, and he's just takes off his visor, just starts blowing shit up with his eyes. And then Jean starts trying to, surround the asteroid, because the asteroid's falling to Earth right now. So Jean starts trying to like slow down the asteroid. Storm comes up underneath it, causing like a tornado and lightning, trying to push it forward. Rogue is down there, being super strong, pushing it up, and Beast is trying to like work on the thrusters and shit like that. This is where we get some more cameos. This one, I almost missed this one, but I did catch it. I was like, oh, we see some civilians, everybody's like packing and stuff. And we see Peter Parker with MJ, redhead
Yeah.
MJ, Mary
Yes.
Jane Watson, and maybe even Flash Thompson behind him.
I yeah, I put in my notes here. I at first I thought it was Eddie Brock at
Okay.
first,
Yeah, I can see that.
but
I think Brock wears like a purple or a brown jacket all the
he
time.
does, and he has blonde hair.
Flash
This
would,
guy didn't
yeah,
have really like
he had a
yeah
Letterman jacket on.
yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't Brock. I think it's Flash Thompson.
yeah.
I'm pretty confident on it, but in my head, me being me, I'm like, okay, how did Mary Jane get back?
And it's not a
Because
clone, right?
she was a water clone, and then she disappeared at the end of that show. But I started thinking, and I did research because it's me. So if this show takes place in '97, Spider-Man animated series started in '94. So this would be before the end of season 3, where he loses MJ. So this would be right before the Green Goblin throws her off that bridge into the portal. So because it started in '94, 94, 95, 96. So this would be so either this MJ this is either before he loses her in the portals, or this is the water clone.
Why can't it be after? Like, why can't it be he went through the portal and he found her in the multiverse?
Because Spider-Man the animated series ends in '98,
Okay.
in
Yeah.
'97.
I see what you're saying, but so you think if we do get a Spider-Man spin-off revival, they'll focus on like where they left off, and we'll get him
Oh god, I hope
going
so.
through the multiverse and finding her?
Yes, I hope so. Because the big question on my mind, maybe not everybody's, but my mind, because I have no life. This is my life. Is I want to know who the heck the MJ is. Is this the water clone? Is it the real MJ? Is this after he saved her? I'm going to say it's before he lost her. That's what I think.
But if you wanna say, you wanna really get all technical and stuff,
I do.
uh Across the Spider Verse or Into the Spider Verse. Is it across the second one? Don't we see an animated 98, 94 Spider Man
We
in
may.
there? So it's like it could be that he's already traveled the multiverse, and
And that's
I don't know.
why. And
I
that's
just want to
why.
connect. I just
And
want to
that
connect across the Spider Verse.
and that's why That's why you are a vital person. You're a vital guy to Brian, guys.
And
But then we get
and
another scene.
that's why I don't get paid the Bo DeMayo bucks because I don't
But
know shit.
we should. But then Morph is with Wolverine, and we get a very touching moment where he's talking to him, and he's like, I'm going to turn to her, or like
But he says she can't say it,
she can't
but
say
I
it,
can.
but I can. He turns to Jean and says, "I love you.
Love you, Wolverine.
I love you, Wolverine." Now, is he saying it for Jean? That like he's trying to tell Wolverine that Jean loves him, or is he saying
It
that
has morph, huh?
that's Morph, that I love you, Wolverine? Well, we know the real answer, and and it is definitely Morph saying to Wolverine that he loves him, and he's turning into Jean because maybe he feels that Wolverine wouldn't accept that.
I mean, he knows that that's who Wolverine cares about. I mean, Wolverine cares about the entire team, but if he's gonna pull through for anybody, it's gonna be Jean, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm interested to see where that goes. If they just if they decide to have Wolverine and Morph have a relationship in the future episodes, then right, okay, I whatever, teach his own, and but we know Morph loves him, and it's got to be tough for Morph to deal with that. So yeah, so Nightcrawler says the Lord's Prayer, and Charles says to Magneto, we are family, we just don't resemble each other. The dreams that we believe in make a family. And Magneto remembers and wakes up as Charles says, remember your new name. And Magneto takes the asteroid to space, and this asteroid seems to blow up, Finch.
Wait, before that, Magneto like comes out of his, mind and he says, Magneto lives.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah.
Magneto lives.
And then he, takes the asteroid, lifts it up out of Earth's orbit, and yeah.
And it seems to blow up. But everybody disappears, dude. Everybody was on that asteroid. And everybody seems to disappear. So we then get like 6 months later, and we see some people with a radio in their car, and it said like 1996, and I wondered if it was some date of a comic book release. I didn't really get to look it up. Um,
I think I heard somewhere that it was like I think it was like June 6th, 1996 or something, and that was
yep,
like the date of Onslaught's first appearance.
that
Which
could be.
which, we didn't get Onslaught in here, so
We
I'm
did not get Onslaught here, and I didn't expect to get to see him, but I expected the heavy hit. But we do get something pretty big here, Finch.
yeah.
Um, it's 6 months later, and we see Forge in the lab.
Sorry, dude, I got to do it. 6 months later. Uh, just every time I hear like something like that, that SpongeBob voice always comes in my head. A few
Previous
moments later.
later, we see Forge in the basement, the X Mansion in the lab, and what does it look like he's doing, man? Looks like he's trying to do something, or at least getting a plan together for something.
Are you talking about the board or are you talking about like what he was working on?
I'm talking about the board.
All right.
I
So,
didn't really see what he was working on. I didn't pay attention to that. I was
yeah.
all about the board.
So that board, man, I I feel like either that's a comic or I want to is it the it's a comic where there's a bunch of like faces or maybe it was from the video.
Days of Future Past.
Okay, yeah. So
Yep.
there's a bunch of faces up there and it's got like something posted across it, right? So we see the one that I saw that was like right front and center. Obviously, he had all the X-Men up there and stuff. But the one that I saw that was front and center was Scarlet Witch, Off World.
Yes,
That was
sir.
that one. And then right next to it, I believe was Colossus with
Yep.
nothing on it. So he's got this board that has it has, you know, the X-Men like Cyclops, Jean, and it says I think it says either dead or
Like
uh,
presumed dead,
yeah, something like that, like either dead
missing,
or
presumed dead.
missing, yeah. And so all right, so the ones that are up there is Scarlet Witch is off world, Colossus, there's nothing on him, Dust, there's nothing on her, Angel, I think it says presumed dead or, you know, missing.
Yeah, I don't remember him being dead, but then I can't remember the last episode we saw Angel in at 92. You're muted, buddy.
Yeah, in 92, I think the last episode I remember with Angel was he was just going after looking for Apocalypse. Like, I think even like Psylocke or somebody told him, like, hey, you got to stop. Like, and he was like, nah, I got to go after him. So,
Uh well, he's
nah,
presumed
bro.
he's nah. Uh, I'm presumed, he's presumed dead, and then we see somebody else. We see so much other people. Keep going, buddy.
We see Magic, Colossus' sister. She has nothing on there. We see your man, your
My
main man.
boy, my
We
main
see
man.
Iceman up there. We see Havoc. That's Scott's brother. We see it says Cable is AWOL. Um,
Then we see some guy named Exodus.
isn't Exodus? I thought Exodus was a Legion personality, but I think
Well, I don't know really
isn't
anything
Exodus the
about
one that gives Magneto like all this like power in one of the storylines. I think.
maybe.
Anyway,
I don't know anything about Exodus.
he's pretty
And
powerful. I believe in the one where the Krakoa story where they're able to like revive people, I think he's the one that like feeds Magneto all this power so that he can fight against damn, who are they fighting? Who's the big bad in that? Uranus? Uranus? I think. Yeah.
um
I think that's where I know Exodus from. So
I'm reading a little bit about him. He led the acolytes after Magneto's mind was wiped clean. Wait, is he is okay, so no, wait, he's not Cortez. I'm so sorry. He replaced Cortez. His real name is Bennett Duparis, and he has been in the Marauders, Acolytes, 198, Crusaders, Brotherhood of Mutants. He has telekinesis, telepathy, teleportation, immortality, accelerated healing factor. He is a part of the Age of Apocalypse stories, House of M. He's basically
he becomes like
a
Magneto's right hand man, right?
yeah. That's I think that's what I'm getting here.
Yeah.
Exodus is a mega level mutant with powers including a telekinetic power so vast it has no limit. He is one of the most powerful mutants on Earth with vast superhuman powers, including omega level telekinesis, telepathy, teleportation, as well as superhuman durability and healing. His high power levels may be a result of tampering by Apocalypse. Exodus is able to use his telekinetic abilities to lift heavy objects, generate highly durable force fields around him, project damaging blasts, and disassemble and reassemble complex tech devices. The Hulk and Apocalypse have been able to withstand his telekinetic attacks. He also uses this ability to allow himself and fellow acolytes to basically fly. So basically, he's a telepath that will be important later because the X Men always needs a telepath. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what Exodus is.
All right. So back to the board.
My bad.
um
Yeah,
no, that's okay. So we see Quicksilver up there, but his similar to Wanda, Scarlet Witch, it says he's off world. We see Shadowcat.
yeah.
These are all the people that are available, quote unquote. We see Emma Frost. So, like you said, the X-Men always need a telepath. So, and then I think it's basically he's trying to recruit. He's trying to track down the X-Men and, figure out who's around, who's going to be able to help us either find the other team or, take on bigger bad threats. Then out of nowhere,
So
my
once again,
man.
so once again, so once again, that list is that could be the new X Men: Colossus, his sister Magic, Dust, Iceman, Havoc, possibly Cable, Exodus, Shadowcat, Emma Frost. So it's a little mixture of
New
the
Mutants.
the New Mutants
Well, because
and
yeah, because Jubilee and Sunspot are on there, but I think it says that they're just like AWOL or something too.
oh, they're presumed dead.
No, because they were with him whenever the asteroid blew up.
Yeah, they went to where they went.
They're not presumed dead. They were with Forge when the asteroid blew up. Remember, he
Oh,
saved
okay.
her because she got like ejected from the asteroid when the
Oh, my
missile struck.
apologies. My apologies.
And
Yeah,
then they ended
you're
up
right.
like standing right next to him and Val Cooper in front of the diner when it blew up. So
I don't think I saw them on the board, or if they were on the board, they were near the top, and they were covered with something.
if
Yeah,
they
I don't.
weren't on the board, then it's because he knows that they're alive.
Touche. Good point. But then somebody shows up in that lab. Finch.
All right. So then my man Bishop returns. He just walks in.
Woo!
Forge throws, holds up the gun like, "Hey, who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, this ain't our first rodeo." And he calls him by his real name. Did you catch his real name?
Crap. Um,
And well, while you find that, he calls him by his real name. He's like, "This ain't our first rodeo."
he says, "I'm
Um,
Luke Bishop, and you're something."
yeah.
Forge. Forge's real name is something. What the heck is Forge's real name?
Well, he tells him, we'll be friends in the future, and then basically he goes, "Oh, you're looking for the X-Men? It ain't about where they went. It's about when." And yeah,
Yes, I have no idea what Forge's real name is, but he does call him by his real name. Yeah, I have no idea. but anyway, moving on. Yes, so yeah, X Men Dead is not our first rodeo. It's not about where they are; it's about when they are, and we got to
yep.
rescue the X Men. So everybody except Scott and Jean go to 3,000. Yeah,
We don't know that though, because there's a couple people missing.
you
Basically, we see Rogue come out of
okay, go ahead.
nowhere. She ends up in the desert. She sees somebody attacking somebody. She just starts beating up dudes. They have like the basically we see she's in 3000 BC. So she's in old ancient Egypt. We see some guys with like I want to who's the bird god? Rao or Horus?
Um,
Like the bird
uh,
god.
Xavier's chick.
Leandra.
Yeah,
Nah, it's
whatever.
it's the ancient Egyptian god with the bird head. I want to say Horus or Ra. But anyway, so she starts beating up these guys. Boom, Bimpf. Nightcrawler shows up. He's like, "What is it they say? We're not in Kansas no more." And they start fighting off these dudes. Then we see Beast show up. He's carrying Xavier. And is Storm there with them? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so then they see this dude and they're like, "Oh, like who are you?" And then he says, "What's his name?"
En Saba Nur.
He says, "My name is Insabenur." And then Beast goes, "Oh dear."
Oh my! But then Scott and Jean they go to the year 3960 AD, 3960 AD, and a tribe of people show up called the Ashante, led by Mother Ashante. And who is Mother Ashante? Finch? Do you know? Do you remember?
Rachel Summers.
Well, Finch, who the heck's Rachel Summers?
Well, if the last name wasn't obvious, she's a descendant of Scott and Jean. And I believe she's from like a dystopian future, different timeline thing, though.
She's
So,
from the Days of Future Past timeline, and
okay.
she is without a doubt their daughter. She is basically Nathan's sister. So she has telepathy, telekinesis. She has a connection to the Phoenix.
Oh yeah,
Er,
she's when Scott gives Nathan to her to take to the future to help
yes.
him. Yeah, okay. Yeah, now I remember.
Yep.
Sorry.
So now, she's much older at this moment here, but now someone comes out of a building or tent, and it is little 10-year-old Nathan.
Nathan?
Nathan Summers, little Cable. So,
And what does he say? He says, "I see no need to fear or have fear," something like that.
something like that. Never fear, my parents are here. Some so it seems like now in the comics, I think that Cyclops and Jean projected their mind into the bodies of other people, and they raised Cain and or not Cain, Cable.
No, wasn't it like Slim and Red or something like that?
Yeah, Slim and Red,
Yeah.
and they raised Cable, for a couple years. So and I guess they'll get pregnant and they'll have Rachel and they'll leave her there. So because they're great
Man,
parents.
horrible parents. Wow.
Yeah, they're the worst.
They're
So
worse than Goat.
Rachel, Rachel's a big factor in a story that could be coming. And yeah.
And
So
that's the end of the episode.
but is it?
Mm. Post
So
credits.
there is a post credit scene. Did you see that post credit scene, Finch?
I did, of course. I was just saying that was the end. We get some credits. It's a Marvel thing. We get some credits, and then what?
Then we see one last
We
scene,
we
Finch.
come back to the present.
Yes, sir. And what do
We
we
went to
see,
the
Finch?
past. We went to the future. Then we come to the present. We
We
see
see
the big man himself, Apocalypse, and he picks up a card. It's the Queen of Hearts. Picks it up and he says, "So much pain, my children. So much death." I was waiting for it.
so this is it. The age of apocalypse is upon us. Like there's no question. Like that's what's happened next. So pretty much almost everything we predicted is pretty much going to happen. Like everything that we said, we're like this is what's going to happen. The Phoenix apocalypse coming, all this stuff. It's here, and season 2 has to be the age of apocalypse. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We have Rachel there. We have Cable. I think I think Mr. Sinister is probably going to create strife. We might get a little bit of. I think season 2 is probably going to be a mixture of Onslaught and Age of Apocalypse. Probably like if they might hold off on Onslaught.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. That reminds me. So in ancient Egypt, Magneto is there. Storm was not there. It was it
You're right.
was Rogue, Nightcrawler, Beast holding Xavier, and then Magneto was right there. Okay, sorry. So we do have Magneto and Charles together in ancient Egyptian times. So yeah, I mean we could still have Onslaught showing up at some point.
Oh yeah. So how Age of Apocalypse starts in the comics, and I don't know how this will happen here, but Legion. Pay attention to who Legion is. Look up Legion, everybody. But Legion basically is a psychotic mutant on Earth, and he's the son of Charles Xavier, and he decides to travel back in time with the intention of killing Magneto. But he travels to the time when Magneto and Xavier are still friends while in Israel. So that might be why we saw that scene so many times. Magneto and Xavier and like how they met stuff. As Xavier dies trying to protect Magneto, Legion vanishes. So basically Legion accidentally kills his dad instead of Magneto. and a new timeline is created. And we got that a little bit in 92, but Legion wasn't really involved there. The only person aware how history has changed is Lucas Bishop, who's a time traveling mutant who followed Legion back. Now, because it was Xavier's sacrifice, Magneto comes to believe in his late friend's dream of peaceful coexistence between humans and mutants, and Apocalypse was monitoring that fight. And he chooses that moment as the perfect time to begin his world conquest, which did not happen in the mainstream Marvel universe for another 10 years. So it's basically part of that. So Apocalypse is traveled back in time to this moment when Xavier and Magneto are weak, and they're doing like a new take on it. And Age of Apocalypse is totally freaking coming. And I'm pretty pumped, Finch. I don't know about you, man.
Yeah, man, I'm ready.
Let's friggin' go.
Let's fucking go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of X-Men 97 for now.
Season
Uh,
1, baby, in the books.
now, now leading up to Deadpool and Wolverine, we have some more X-Men episodes coming your way. Next week, we're going to be doing, I think, me, Finch, Tyler, might get some other on it. Might get James on there as well from Krypton Report. But next week, we're going to be doing who are the best and the worst X-Men and X-Men villains. So we're going to learn who everybody's basically favorites X-Men villains and X-Men heroes are, and why they think they're the best and why they think they're the worst. So that's going to be interesting. So we're going to give our top 3. And then the week after that, on I think June 10th, we're going to one I've been looking forward to for a long time is who should be the first MCU X-Men team. So, Brian, the guys, we're all going to basically give what we think should be the first MCU X-Men team. And then we're going to spend some time talking about what was right, what was wrong with the X-Men movies. And then we're right before Deadpool and Wolverine comes out, we're going to break down what we think is the correct X-Men timeline so far in the movies, where it doesn't really make any freaking sense, but we're going to try and make sense of it. So that's what we got going on in the next couple of weeks. A lot of good X-Men stuff. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Finch, for joining me, my man.
Oh, man, it's been a great X-Men ride, man.
And it has, man. Thank you. I have been Brian Peters this whole time.
And I've been the Finch.
He's the Finch. Thanks for joining us, everybody. For when you need comics info, don't cry. Just listen to Brian the Guys.